Michael Liu has been a close friend of mine for many years. During that time, I have watched him use his career success as a platform to help elevate others. In this video, he is happy to share his experience of coming to Canada with his family and what growing up with immigrant parents was like for him.
I'm Michael Liu. I'm a communications professional in Edmonton, and I've worked in public relations for the last 7.5 years. Currently, the public affairs lead for Dow Canada for the Alberta operations section. The thing that I really love about my career, be able to create stories that engage people and connect people together in our community. One of my passion areas is diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I've really made a big effort to include that and be an advocate for that in my career and in my personal life and in the community. Last year, I was nominated for an award from the National Association of Asian American Professionals, the 2023 Pride Award, that I'm very proud of being able to be selected for. I went to school here in Edmonton. I graduated with a diploma in public relations from McEwen University. And before that, I went to the University of Alberta for my bachelor's of design. So right now, I'm just finishing up my MBA. I've been very fortunate to be able to participate and complete post-secondary education. Thanks very much to the sacrifices that my family has made. Education is a big part of my past, and I'm sure will be part of my future as well. It really is the story of an immigrant person and of an immigrant family finding success here in Canada. We don't often appreciate, I think, our own stories. Each immigrant family has a great story to share.
When did your parents immigrate, and what was the reason they chose to come to Canada?
My parents and I were all born in China. I grew up with my mom's side of the family in eastern China. In the late 1980s, my father was studying in Canada. This was the during the early days of China opening up to the world. And after 1989, my father, both he and my mom, made the decision to start a new life here in Canada to try to find a better life for the family. And so he saved up enough to sponsor my mom to come to Canada in 1991. And then they then sponsored me to come in 92. The journey was like that taken by many immigrant families to find a better life and ultimately to find freedom. And I've been the beneficiary of that.
What challenges did your parents face as immigrants to Canada, and how did you see them overcome those challenges?
So the journey was very challenging for my whole family. I would say that the challenges were both the difficulty of leaving everything you knew behind, and the broader support network was something that my parents didn't have because we didn't have any relatives here in Canada. Economic security is a big issue, right, for all immigrant families. That with limited means and with a limited support network, we knew that we were going to be different than say the average Canadian family or the what we saw on TV or in the movies, right? I didn't ever really see them take vacations when I was growing up, and they were always working. For example, when it was time for me to go to university, my dad had to give up family car to help support me to go to university. And all families have to make sacrifices as well. And of course, language. I benefited from growing up in Canada and going to school in Canada. That's also something that is much harder, I think, when you get older. There was also a feeling of being displaced, learning a different culture, a very different set of norms and expectations, which are very different in Canada, in a Western culture, than in a traditional Chinese culture.
How do you feel you have benefited by growing up with immigrant parents?
I saw a lot of determination in my parents. I saw them as people who needed to make any sacrifice that was necessary to be able to provide for their children and to find a better life. The other thing that I saw in my parents, an appreciation for family. This is your only family, right, here in Canada. And from my parents, as they responded to a lack of economic security, that really made me appreciate things and not take things for granted. Even in the way that I live, I think I'm much more ready to make a sacrifice, right? To pursue a goal or to achieve something than I otherwise would have been if I had not grown up with an immigrant family. It has made me a more inclusive person because growing up as maybe an outsider to Canadian culture, there were many times when I felt out of my comfort zone. For example, starting school in a new country, right? On the first day, not understanding what any of the signs meant, or not being able to understand anyone, or not seeing any other Chinese people, for example, right? Those could be very kind of daunting and isolating experiences. It's made me appreciate diversity a lot more. I've been able to live a diverse life because of my background as an immigrant person. Inclusion was very important for our culture and our society. I think it's a great thing that we have a very diverse country. That differences are good, and they should be celebrated.
Thank you for sharing your story with us, Michael. I'm so glad that your family decided to make Canada their home, and I'm proud to have you as a friend.